Let's get into some Boston Celtics news and rumors. Evan Fournier entered the health and safety protocol earlier this week. Doesn't look like he's going to play tonight. Unclear on when he will return. Kind of par for the course this year for the Celtics, Chase. Every time something starts to go well, Fournier has a couple of good games. Enters the health and safety protocol.
Yeah, and he's already missed the past 2 games. The Celtics were without Tristan Thompson for around a dozen games because he was also out due to health and safety protocols. Throughout this entire season, the Celtics have been hit hard with the coronavirus,
injuries,
or COVID safety protocols, or injuries. It has been a very difficult season for the Boston Celtics, and this was their big trade deadline acquisition that they brought in to be that scoring spark plug off the bench. And what do you know? He starts to play well after that horrible debut in which he went 0 for 10, starts to get it together, starts to feel comfortable in that offense. He's already missed 2 games, and now who knows how long he's going to be out for now, but he did show some support to the fans who were supporting him during this time.
Yeah, he's keeping a positive attitude, which is what you got to do this year. This is just, what we're all dealing with. Just want to take a moment to say thank you for all the love and support. Can't wait to get back on the court and help my team win. And you said it. It was a bad start for Fournier, but his last 2 games in Boston, he's been really good, but it's just been that, it's been a weird year. 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the Celtics.
It's been a dumbfounding year for the Boston Celtics. I think that's a good way to put it. This is a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and a lot of people were expecting Boston to compete for an NBA championship this year.
Yep.
But health and safety protocols. Jason Tatum was out for a while because he tested positive. Tristan Thompson then is out for a dozen games. They trade for Evan Fournier. Now he's out. This is a team that has struggled to find a groove because of those reasons, and that's why they've mysteriously been floating around 500. So when you look back at 2020, 2021 for the Boston Celtics, you're going to say to yourself, it was that type of year for Boston. But who knows, Harrison, because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had a serious conversation prior to that Knicks win the other night, and then they went out there and picked up one of the best wins of the season, and maybe that was what got this team going, and maybe when Evan Fournier comes back, that can be an addition that helps this team become a little bit more consistent and find its groove.
I mean, he started to light it up, and I like the way Brad Stevens was using Fournier as like this super sixth man, 28 to 30 minutes. I think his last 2 games, he's like 10 for 17 from 3 or something ridiculous, 10 for 15, whatever it is. He really got hot there. Then, of course, again, gets struck in the safety protocol, but hopefully he gets back. He can be that 17 to 20 points off the bench, which really depth had been a problem for the Boston second unit here. Jeff Teague didn't work out. Some of these other pieces haven't been great. Guys like Peyton Pritchard are having to contribute more than you would expect as rookies, which is why they brought in Fournier, who can be that super six-man type of player. We'll see when he comes back. He's not going to play against Minnesota. I would doubt he goes on that road trip. Maybe the 15th against the Lakers is when you're looking at an opportunity for him to get back out there with his teammates and still find the groove of where he fits on this basketball team.
And this is a team right now that can't afford to be shorthanded because, winnable game against the Timberwolves, but then you look at the slate that we just popped up there, a lot of really difficult games and a long road trip, which then makes him joining the team that much more difficult, especially if he's dealing with these health and safety protocols. I will say this, while Boston didn't make a big splash at the NBA trade deadline by bringing in Evan Fournier, I do think they improved their bench just a little bit. Luke Cornett has been pretty solid. Evan Fournier is a good player off the bench for a winning team. Mo Wagner can give you some minutes here and there, and I think one of the bright spots to focus on is because you got rid of Daniel Tice, Robert Williams has been good for this team as well.
Romeo Langford just came back.
Exactly. So, the depth is a little bit better.
So hopefully Fournier's back soon and continues to help that depth come together. Should Fournier start or come off the bench? What do you guys think? He's been coming off the bench. When he comes back, what do you guys view him as, a starter or a guy who comes off the bench? Type S for he should start, or type B for he should come off the bench. Now, Celtics fans, you should download the Newsbreak app at chatsports.com/CelticsNB because wherever you are, maybe you're in Boston, maybe you live on the West Coast and you're a Celtics fan, here's what the Newsbreak app does. It gets you local news, weather, politics, pop culture. Chase, anything happening in your community. We're in Dallas. I use this app every day. I pop it on, see what's happening in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I can keep up with everything happening in our communities. It's a great app.
It's become a part of my daily process. I wake up in the morning, I get some coffee, I get some breakfast, but as I start to do some research to get ready for work, I also pull up the Newsbreak app because I'm able to just kind of stay on top of everything that's going on. Weather, crime, politics, entertainment, pop culture.
They do have more sports stuff
food
as well.
And sports stuff as well. And the other bonus, in addition to getting all of that content on one single feed, hey, Celtics Today is also on the Newsbreak app as well. We're trying to get to 100 followers. So if you go to chatsports.com/CelticsNB, download the Newsbreak app on your iPhone or Android. You get all those features on the app, but also you get all your Celtics news as well.
Search Celtics Today once you download the app, and you can find more videos from Chase, myself, Tom, and everyone here at the Chat Sports team. Let's talk Tristan Thompson here on Boston Celtics Today. Harrison Graham, Chase Sr. with you. Remember when Kevein O'Connor ripped Tristan Thompson and reported that he's not very well liked in the locker room, and it was kind of crickets there for a while. A couple of teammates came to his defense, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, but now Tristan has had his say, Chase, and let's have some fun breaking this one down.
Yeah, so I will say this about Kevein O'Connor of The Ringer. I think he's one of the brightest and smartest and best people covering the NBA. But he did say that there were some rumblings that players in the Celtics locker room weren't really meshing with Tristan Thompson because he was violating some of the team rules in terms of COVID because he'd just go out and party a little bit, and teammates were like, yo, what are you doing? Well, after that report came out, you can remember that Jaylen Brown tweeted out, cap, meaning that is not
Fake
true.
news.
And Tristan Thompson was fired up about this report because, hey, whether it's true or not, people don't like to see their name thrown in the press in a negative fashion. And on top of that report, Tristan Thompson also missed around a dozen games, and he said he was going through hell battling the coronavirus. So a difficult time for him, and this is what he had to say about that report. He said, quote, that guy Kevein O'Connor, I don't know if I should mention his name or not because he doesn't deserve my 2 cents, but I remember every name because I am like an elephant. So with him saying I'm not liked in the locker room, that was funny because that's not the case. A couple things there. I don't know if I should mention his name. He did, and then he compared himself to an elephant, which is interesting.
That is very interesting. Here's what I know. Something's off with this team this year. And I know, we keep saying, they've been hit hard by COVID. Guys have been in and out. They just haven't been able to close out games. They're close, but they aren't quite there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but this team's way too talented to have these distractions and have these results that they've been having this year. This should not be a 500 team. This should be a team that's in the top 3, top 4 at worst in the Eastern Conference with the likes of the Nets and Milwaukee and the 76ers. I mean, the freaking Hornets keep winning without LaMelo Ball. The Celtics are behind Devontae Graham. Are you kidding me? I don't know what's going on with this team this year, but 26-26, that's just not going to cut it. They've got to be better than what they've been so far.
Yeah, and you threw out all those issues. I talked about it earlier. Marcus Smart was also hurt. Kemba Walker, not the same guy. I think what it really comes down to for the Boston Celtics, it's the late game execution.
Yes.
They should be much better in that category when it comes to performing in the clutch. They have not been. Just watch them in the fourth quarter, especially with 5 minutes or less to go. They're terrible.
Their clutch
and they
stats
can't execute in the clutch.
They're near the bottom of the league in every metric.
And another thing, they go in these lulls, which is why I think it was important for them to fortify their bench a little bit, because when their starters go out, their backups just aren't the same. But they go in these weird lulls, and they fall into these large deficits that are almost impossible to climb their way out of.
It's not great. So Tristan Thompson barking back at Kevein O'Connor. I think he needs to focus on trying to slow down Joel Embiid, but that's just me. Will the Celtics win a playoff series? Who would have thought we'd ask you this question? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Hopefully that they can, and they can rally very, very soon. Get your votes in, Y for yes or N for no. We'll get some shout-outs on this one. What do you guys think about the Celtics? Will they win a playoff series this year? Someone says, Kimba's not it. You're not wrong. Those knees just aren't the same.
No.
Donovan says no. King J says no. Frosty says no. Mark says no. Jeff says yes. King J says no. Let's see here. Franco says yes. The R&B Bros say yes. You think they win a series? I mean, you got to get at least. I mean, if you're the 7th seed, I don't see them beating Philadelphia.
You know what my worst fear is, though?
They do beat
As
Philadelphia.
a guy coming from the Philadelphia area who rooted on the Sixers my entire life, it's the first-round matchup between the Sixers and the Celtics because the Celtics in the playoffs have crushed the Sixers, and they've had their number. And I think they have that mental edge in the playoffs over the Sixers. That is my worst fear. But then you look at what Joel Embiid did against the Tristan Thompson-less Celtics the other night. He completely dominated. So I don't know if it's a good matchup for Boston.
Yeah.